All right. So last year I did an interview like this with the folks who went to Japan, then the folks who went to Albania, and then me and Matt for Israel. And now you guys have just came back from Romania. Nanci, Dana, and Serge, and others, of course, went with you guys. But I just wanted to start by asking you for maybe just a quick summary of what you went over there for. Like, what do you, for somebody who has no clue what goes on in Romania, why you would go there? Um, Give me a quick summary.
Yeah, I mean, do you want me to start? So for us, well, it's, the same foundation that we've worked with all this time. I lived there obviously 20 something years ago. And so really, one of the major things is to go there and support the Romania side of the foundation, as they work, 365 days a week. I mean, 365 days a year, 7 days a week. And, that's a lot of working with kids and a lot of ideas. And so a lot of times we bring teams over, kind of to refresh them, also to give them a little bit of break in terms of planning for, the different lessons and things like that. Um, Obviously for us, and I get, I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit later about like what I took from it, but just going back and remaining consistent parts of the people's lives that we go in, the children and young adults that we go in, to be consistent pieces in their lives, and not just to go and leave them. I believe in short-term missions, but this for us is long-term missions, because it's not just the week and then that's it. It's the week and then we'll come back in a couple of years, and we've been doing that for the 20 something years. So a lot of it again is the support for the Romania side, but the other part is also for it to be long-term missions for me and my family.
Got it.
Mhm.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Nancy, anything to add there?
Sure. Yes, we support ProVision Romania because they have been examples and testimonies of people in the orphans' lives who don't abandon them. So we're going back. My first time was 2003, and we are still seeing orphans, meeting with orphans that we met in 2003. They graduated out of their orphanage as young teens, and Provision supported them from that point on in ways that parents would.
Mm.
And, helping them get education, jobs, just being there. They were just recently asked by one of our past team members, why do you still minister to the, now they're in their 30s, some of them may be hitting 40, and why are you still ministering? And Christina wisely said, everybody needs a family. Everybody needs to check in with the family and get that love and support that that families give each other. So we consider them family, and they consider us family. Mm.
How long has Provision Romania been around?
So I lived there in 2002, and it started taking root kind of in 2003. I'm not sure like when it was like officially stamped into existence, but I believe it was around 2003. But Christina and I were psychologists together working in orphanages before Provision existed, and then decided that we wanted to start a foundation that worked a little differently than the other foundations that were in the area, just kind of going into the actual villages and trying to get roots of the problems for orphans. Like there were a lot of ministries that worked in orphanages, but nobody worked in the places that could stop the orphan problem. And so their big goal was, let's go to these places and give them not just humanitarian aid, but parenting classes, and again, a family. Like a young girl will keep a child, more often if they have a family who's supporting them. And so 2003 is really where we had decided that we're going to be different than other foundations and start something that really focuses in on going into the villages, into these people's lives. And same thing, being more consistent, more like a family member than just these people that pop in, give a bunch of Christmas presents and then pop out, or
Mm.
do a camp and then leave them for the rest of the year. So
Yeah.
I think it was 2003. I mean, I believe that's when it was like
Well,
stamped into.
ProVision Romania, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. They, let's say they became a foundation. I want to say like almost like maybe 2010, 2011. But Christina and Marianne have been working toward that goal when they could form their own foundation. There's never been a gap for them working. It was just that they made their own foundation as they moved away from a foundation that was doing excellent work, but did not have that same vision of following the orphans, of continuing with the villages. They were very much in looking to get those short-term missionaries all year long. And Christina and Marianne thought, no, we have to be more consistent in the lives. So they started their own foundation.
And I
Maybe
think the difference also about ProVision that was different than a lot of foundations, not just the ones that we had worked with, but a lot of the foundations is that they really wanted Romanians working with Romanians. A lot of foundations, love, obviously the money that Americans can bring over for projects and things like that. And ProVision needs those things as well. But their big thing was let's raise up Romanians and volunteers from Romania and things to work with our own people, which they actually have had pushback. A lot of churches there and stuff are confused why Romanians would want to help gypsies. Because that's obviously a big percentage of the people they work with are gypsies. A lot of the Romanians are actually confused why Romanians are helping the gypsies there. But that was another difference between their foundation was you don't just need a ton of international teams. Like, how do we make this foundation, again, 365 days a year, where we're actually serving it and calling Romanians who don't have a lot themselves to even offer humanitarian aid to these gypsies, that's a difficult thing. But so I guess the idea of ProVision, I guess my mother knows better. The 2010, I guess, was the actual start of it, but we are forming all the ideas of the foundation in 2003 when I lived there.
recently Christina and Marianne broke away from her cousin is a pastor. They've been at their church for years. They did not want to branch out and help. They became
So they
more and
said,
more
yeah,
inward
and
and were
they
not wanting
said,
to help.
well, they said also so Christina and Marianne, obviously they bring a lot of orphans to church, and they
Yeah.
were like, you're kind of bringing too many orphans to church. Like the church is becoming all orphans and gypsies and poor people. And they're like, yeah, like that literally is the point of their entire ministry. So if they can't bring them back to a home church that says they want as many of them as possible, then they just couldn't be a part of that church. So
Wow.
So now their church. So Christina, Marianne was the second elder at the church, and so he planted a church, and it's a small little church now, but thriving, and everybody's welcome.
Let's get Serge in here. Serge, if you don't mind, you were this is your first time going to Romania, right?
For sure. This is my first time even leaving the country. So it's kind of a big deal for me. When I married into the Schiavos and the family here, they told me that Romania was a big part of their lives. So I was excited to be a part of that. And coming from a third world country, kind of say, I know what poverty is. That you see it all on the news. But at 53 years old, I never saw it with my own eyes. It's what I seen on the news. It's what my parents told me. Is what everybody else sees, and other people that go and missionaries that go to Haiti and help out. So that's what I was born there, so I kind of know that, but I've never seen it firsthand. And when I got to Romania and I saw how the other half lived, so to speak, it was profoundly impactful. There was a lot of joyous moments, and it was just incredible to see how much work this provision does and how much help that they really do need, because they really impact hundreds and hundreds of kids and villages. And I was in awe and all of it, because it was so inspiring, so inspiring.
What was a highlight for you, Serge?
I had a couple of highlights. The food was great, uh, but these children, man, and to see how these children are living and how happy some of them are because of the help that they get. Provision really is a family to them, and that's one of the things that I saw it, and I kept talking to Marianne. We spent a lot of time together, man time, and he mentored me through this whole trip, and it was great. And I watched him work with these children, and how he's like a surrogate dad to almost 400, 500 kids. It's incredible to see, and the help that they get, the after school programs, and I mean, the farm was one of the highlights for me, when I got to see these villages that's not well to do, and the animals and the ducks and the chickens and that kind of stuff, and seeing what those rural, is that what it is? What those villages? Yeah. That was a really, really big deal for me. It's almost culture shock as well. And, you're walking in mud, and it was just great. It was just great all the way around.
Serge, you texted me. I'm going to share my screen. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but I hope you are. All right.
So I know Easter's coming up for you guys.
Știm că Paștele vine, duminica asta de cei poliși, duminica viitoare.
Who knows the story of Easter?
Cine dintre voi cunoaște ce s-a întâmplat de Paște? Care e treaba cu Paște? Știți? S-a născut cine? Nu, dar nu, ea.
You guys can hear the story of Easter.
Ea.
Yeah. So when Jesus died for our sins.
Deci, pe scurt, povestea de Paște.
Yeah, what was the significance of that one for you?
So, first of all, you didn't get the full clip. I got all this. You get the full clip, but going through these schools and the Schiavos, they have a great impact. So what they were doing is giving lessons. And our whole missions trip, the whole concept of it was fishers of men.
Okay.
So those were the lessons that we were teaching throughout the different schools that we're going to different groups of kids, and the whole story about Jesus and the fishermen and all that. So Dana, she's an excellent speaker, and they were just doing classes, and on every day. That's what they got up, and Marianne would translate and show these guys and these kids and these girls. Did you see me? Yeah. Yeah. So it's so it was just lessons every day. So I watched Nanci and Dana do that, and it's a wonderful thing to see and listen to. But it's all about spreading the gospel and spreading the word and spreading the love of Jesus, and they do it perfectly.
So it was actually their Easter week, which is actually really, really big in Romania. And so on the Sunday we arrived, the first Sunday, it was the Hungarian Easter. And on the next Sunday, it was the Romanian Easter. So we were literally smack in the middle of the two Easters. And so we tried to tie in Easter, obviously, with Fishers of Men. So basically, we just kind of told the story about obviously, salvation was based on the fact that Jesus rose like on Easter, and then what that means for us about how we can be fishers of men. And it's funny to think like the concept is kind of easy about fishing and things like that, but the kids really got into the whole like a lot of them were very familiar with fishing. So I think it actually turned out really well because they really understood. We talked about like the tools you'd need for fishing and then what kind of tools we'd need for, fishing people. So but I think we came in contact with about 130 to 150 kids for the week.
Okay. But but the ministry serves more than that. Like was Serge being literal when he said hundreds and hundreds of kids?
Yes. I mean, certain times like I get, well, we call them kids, but some of them are like in their 30s. So
Got it.
I guess that, yes. So yes, hundreds and hundreds, yes. But when we say kids, some of those are because they were orphan kids when we lived there and now they're in their 30s. So they're still kids to us, and they still, a lot of them even have the mentality of children too. But yeah, so yes, we'll say people when it comes to kids, probably a couple hundred kids. But and we didn't even work with a lot of them because they had Easter break. So a lot of the kids were actually away. So it is literally hundreds and hundreds a week that they do, but it's from kids to young adults.
Okay. Is the and it's all orphans, right? Like all the
No. So the young adults, they were orphans. The kids that are in the villages are gypsies. So so you go into the villages because those gypsies start having kids like 11, 12, 13 years old. And so when you're having like children having children, they were giving them up very easily because your children having children. So that's why provision goes into those villages. First of all, to teach them that they don't have to have kids, so early. But also then if they do, to help them with formula and diapers and parenting classes and all of that so that they don't give up their children. So again, that was more, a lot of the places were going into orphanages, but provision's like, well, we don't want kids to end up in orphanages in the first place. So how do we stop that? So that's really what they're doing, is they're going into those villages, teaching them about Jesus, teaching them about, even marriage. They have like godparents, for weddings. They've been godparents for lots of these orphans' weddings, and they teach them how to have godly marriages, and then what to do with children when they have them, and how children are precious and that they're worth it and they're valuable. So, again, it's more of hitting the root of the problem than it is. So these are poor children, like poor, when I say villages, the little wood houses, one room for 12 kids kind of houses, like that. So poor. One of them, they said this is probably like, we brought pizza. It's probably the only meal they're going to have for a couple days. And they devoured the pizza in a minute. So
For
poor.
real?
Yeah, for real. We were like, they put out this big pizza, and I'm going to say 15 seconds later, it was gone.
For sure.
Jeez.
So it's more about keeping these poor gypsy kids from making orphans.
I wanted to say something real quick. You asked me what stood out for me. Two things actually. One was having my daughter there for the first time. She was recently saved, and she was baptized. So for her to go on this trip with us was amazing. Number one, and there was this one little child, this little boy. His name was almost like mine in Romanian.
Serge.
Serge was his name. Weird how that is. And we had a connection. And the mother and I had a connection. And during service, she came up to me. She was like, "Hey, Serge, could you pray for me? No one's ever asked me to pray for them and their child." And I found that very, very, very humbling and profound. And I did. Come to find out, this kid is all smiles. He speaks perfect English.
Well,
he really does. And super smart. And prior to that, I guess a month ago, his father died.
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow, really?
So just a month ago before, his father just passed. So, but you would never know it. And the cutest kid you've ever seen, so smart. And he touched my heart through the whole entire thing. So that was very, very big for me,
Wow.
And then you realize how much these people need love, how much these people and how much provision really, really does. At some point, you just start crying, And I came to tears, I don't know how many times, to see how these people are living, cardboard boxes. We went to one village and it was close to their office. And as we're passing through the village, it's super slum and no running water, no electricity, garbage everywhere. And you see a mom with a baby on her arm walking through this. It's
wow.
It's incredible, and 3 blocks down, regular neighborhood opens up.
Yeah.
3 blocks down, there's buildings and stores and stuff like that, but they have a whole section of gypsies where everybody just threw them away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so.
And actually, that particular area of town has been approached by ProVision, and there are children coming from there into their after-school program.
Right.
So ProVision is getting into those families, and I mean, I wouldn't doubt that in 2 years when we go back, we will see, great strides in how they're being taken care of as well.
They're the ones that we were talking about with the pizza. They put the pizza out and it was gone, and they were trying to take a slice home for somebody that was maybe home or something, but he said for sure they wouldn't have eaten before that. So but they come I think once a week, and then of course they go into the village to check on them.
Yeah. Serge, can I just play this other video and you can just kind of quickly tell us about this?
The angel said he is not here.
El nu este aici.
He is risen.
El nu e aici, el a înviat. Putem să zicem, putem să zicem cu toți. Iisus a înviat.
That was
Hey,
a village we went to.
ma, stați la noi. Acum zicem cu toți. Iisus a înviat. Iisus a înviat. Mort. Încă o dată. Te răspundem? Încă o dată. Noi suntem, eu cu eu zic Iisus a înviat și voi spuneți adevărat, a înviat, dar mai tare. 2, 3 și Iisus a înviat.
You gotta love Marian.
He teases them. It's funny when you know Romanian too. He teases them like a dad.
Just
He
like a
does-
dad.
He's not very formal like with them, which is what I love because he's very like, he's kind of sarcastic with them in a funny way.
You know, one of the things that I noticed through the years, and this one was way more than, because we haven't been there in a long time. So when you would go into these schools, they were dirty, broken down, old. There was nothing new. The children were smeared with dirt. Their clothing would be dirty. They were allowed to go to school like that. We just, when we would go to be with them, we just had to get used to them being like that because we still wanted to love on them. But it was, so now the schools and ProVision, helping them are requiring the children to come to school clean.
Oh, interesting.
And that's not easy for a lot of them because, they don't have necessarily washing machines and they barely have running water. And if they do, it's cold.
Marianne told us that some in the wintertime, I think he said sometimes it gets really, really bad because some of the kids get in there and nobody could hardly breathe
Yeah,
in
they
some of the
do.
rooms and they stink so bad. So you got to open the windows. And then when the wind comes in, it's rough. But they get through it, because again, no matter what, these kids need to eat at least one meal a day and they need to hear the gospel every day. So, for ProVision does amazing, amazing things there.
And at their, it's like what is it, a center? Like, is there?
Well, that was a school. So a lot of the villages have a school in their village and the teachers open it up for us to use while we're there.
Okay.
But
Okay.
ProVision has an office. And so anyone local to the office, they'll pick up in their van and bring them to the office. And then they go to 3 different villages, plus the young adults. It's not a village, but the city that the young adult orphans live in. So
Okay.
I think they travel to 5 or 6 different places, and then 2 groups come to the office
Okay.
every week. So we followed their schedule. So she's like, why don't we just keep our schedule? We don't have to tell the kids like change your day to Tuesday or change it to this time. So we literally did what they do every week. And trust me, especially being 45 this time and not when I lived there in my 20s, I don't know how they do it because we collapsed at the end of the week.
Yeah.
But they were like, we got to bring you to the airport because we got to get back for our lesson. And they brought us to the airport at 4 a.m. and they had to go back and still do it. And they haven't stopped yet. So, they do it every day. They don't take a break. There is no vacation day. There is no stop. And so, I just thought how exhausted we were after a week. And I'm like, wow, they have 51 more weeks to do this
Wow.
alone.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
About 10 minutes away between the
Yeah.
villages and the schools and the classes. So that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There-
As for me, I'll just,
Yeah.
in terms of how I was most impacted or which group, I am still so attached to the adult orphans. Since 2003, they've been calling me Mama Nanci.
Aw.
And at 38, they're still calling me Mama Nanci. One of the things that really touched me is I know I have my memories, but their memories are just as sharp. One girl shared with me way back years and years and years ago when we were meeting with them. She kind of just came into my arms and just started. Her name was Vio, and she was crying and crying and crying. And I was just comforting her. I didn't understand Romanian. And Christina said that Vio, just needed this outlet to just purge her hurt and her grief of being an orphan and what was done to her. And this, when I was there 2 weeks ago, Vio said to me, "Do you remember when I cried in your arms?" And I
Wow.
was like, "I do remember, Vio. I
Wow.
do. It was very special to me." They remember
Wow.
moments, right, Dana and Serge?
Yeah.
And they remember the
Yeah, you
it's
said one word.
memories.
You wore
That's
a
why
pink
it's so
shirt. You wore a
important.
pink shirt that night. Like, though, literally, like the crazy things. Like, did you remember you had your hair in a ponytail that night when we were there, sitting in a white chair? Like, it is crazy. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if we're talking about what impacted us, can I share it then? Because it kind of goes along with that. Um, so for me, when I lived there, I became very close to Christina's family because again, they became like my family when I lived there. And her mom was a very important part of our lives. We called her Mama Gliga because she was the mama, the mama, and that's her last name. And she was a matriarch of their church. She was a prayer warrior for people. But she invited everyone that you could be in her home to her home. So she made us a lot of meals and things. And every time my family would come, she'd invite them into her home like it was nothing. But she's got very advanced Alzheimer's,
Okay.
to the point where sometimes she doesn't remember her kids. She doesn't remember where she is. She doesn't really remember much. And, but we said, I mean, she's in her 80s and we're like, we really want to visit her. We don't want to give up, this chance of visiting her because, we don't know when we'll be back and all. And so we were brought to the house and she was sitting there and I got real close to her face and I said, "It's me, Dana." And she said, "I don't remember your face, but I think I remember your name." I
Aw.
mean, I don't think she really did, but she was. It doesn't matter. But so right before we were gonna pray, she said, "I may not remember you, but thank you for not forgetting me." And she said, "It just means so much that you left." And apparently, she's like, apparently we knew each other years ago, and you didn't forget me. And I'm just so thankful you came to say hello and join me. And it was crazy because my mom prayed for her, but she prayed for us. And with Alzheimer's and forget, she just poured out a prayer for us, our family, like just praying for blessings on our family and thanking God for us and things. Like, she did not forget how to pray. She definitely didn't forget who God was. And so that was something that I thought
Wow.
was like the theme of for like the whole trip, even for me, is that like we've not forgotten them and they need to know that. And that's why, again, I think that's really the whole point of going back. Um, so yeah.
Yeah. Did she say this to you in English?
No, no, but I know Romanian.
Okay. Okay. Like fluently?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Okay.
fluent.
And Christina is they're very quick. They know they know they have to translate quickly. Like they're almost, as soon as someone says something in Romanian, Christina, Marian, or Denise, you know, they will translate quickly.
Even everybody was like, "Dana, how did you remember Romanian? Like, how do you know Romanian?" And I mean, I didn't even know if I was gonna. I got, I showed up and I was like, "Well, let's see if this works, if I remember or not." But I went and it was just, I think it took like a day to like all come back to me, and I was understand. I mean, I understood everything everyone said, and it was coming out, and I do believe, I truly wholeheartedly, because I'm not someone who's like good with languages or anything else. I do believe that God gives me that gift while I'm there. And he really, that saying where it says like he doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called.
Yeah.
And I think that truly that's what he does, is he gives me that gift, right then and there for the moment that I need it. So
Did it change how you did God do anything in you that you coming back to New Jersey
Oh man,
changes how you live, how you see things, how you want to do ministry or mission here?
absolutely, absolutely. Because hello,
Yeah.
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 So I've never even heard the word missions until I came to True Life. I guess this has been going on forever in other churches. I never knew anything about it. But man, I came back saying this. God touched my heart in such a way, like seeing all this. Um, we as Americans, we whine and cry about the daily. My feet hurt, my back hurt. It's raining today. The air conditioner's not working, and all these little things that we whine and cry about. Meanwhile, the people on the other side of the planet are suffering. And you should be grateful and thankful for what you have. God has blessed us. We are so blessed with everything that we have. We have so much and in abundance, and these people have nothing, you know? And so that was a very, very big, impactful insight that I had coming back, nowadays I move different, I talk different, and I don't take the little things and make them. I don't. You know what I mean? I don't make the little things big anymore. I don't know how to word that,
Yeah.
but it's not that. It's not that serious. If I want to put it in any terms,
Okay.
whatever we're going through here, it's not that serious compared to how some of these people around the world are living. So every day you get up and you thank God that you have what you have, and you have family, and you have food, and you have running water. When we realize how other people don't have it, you're truly, truly, truly blessed. So, that's how I look at life now, differently, And I also realize that, man, Jesus is in my life for sure. And why am I so blessed? Did I do anything to deserve all this goodness that the Lord has provided for me? Like, I'm really, really blessed. And I got kids, I got grandkids, I got a wonderful wife and family, and some of these people have absolutely nothing. That was very, very, very impactful for me, and that was my biggest takeaway.
That's good, man. That's good. How about Nanci and Dana?
I mean, again, what I was just saying, I guess how I live now is, again, the remembering them and how I can still be a part of it. So if it's just praying for them, if it's giving the extra financial, being generous, you know, a lot of them, they somehow, I don't know how, but they have Facebook and things like that. And sometimes I just want to ignore the messages because it is, it does use my brain to write in Romanian and everything like that. And so sometimes I want to ignore it because I'm tired or whatever. And then I remember how much it means to them to be remembered. And so I just put my own time away and make sure that, they remain important, but that they know that they're important. So like to do that. And again, it inspired me again. I mean, the whole COVID thing put a damper on teams, but watching obviously Serge and his daughter see these things, and Andrew also brought a friend from high school to see them seeing it for the first time. I forget, again, how important it is to bring other people. Like sometimes I feel like I want to keep this ministry to myself almost. And I know that sounds maybe weird because I just like to go over and I like to feel comfortable, and I don't like to manage, I don't really, want to use all my energy to manage all these people who are new, and being a team leader is exhausting, and training them and getting the supplies and the suitcases and the air flights and stuff. And it's exhausting to be a team leader, but I do believe that God calls me to do that too. So sometimes, again, I want to keep it a secret when I go sometimes because I just want to keep this trip to myself so that I can just almost enjoy it. But I forget that it's more important that more people are remembering them than it is me keeping it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I think that what I always take away with, I'm so prepared to go with ideas and plans and how I'm going to bless them and what I'm going to say. And no matter what I do, it's never, ever measures up to what I get, to what they give. So I always feel like I'm behind, like I'm going to Romania to be uplifted and to be blessed and, filled, running over with blessings. So, and once again, that happened. I was like, well, another trip where they blessed me more. But I think that's the case of doing ministry. It's you think you're going to bless, and then God says you're being more blessed because of just trying to be faithful.
Yeah. if somebody is interested, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
Or if somebody's interested in going with you guys next time, can they talk to you, Dana? Or are you going to
Yeah,
say,
so
I don't
I
want to
think
manage you?
I think we talked about this again. I feel very old when I go over there now. I'm exhausted by the end of the week, but I feel like whenever it's short terms, you're like, you know what? I can make it till no matter what. I can make it till I hit that plane and come home. But I do know that young people, the experience of camp is something. First of all, the young people who can run around and be counselors and things like that. But even for us older ones, building relationships with the same children every day is a different experience than like right now, with my family. I just wanted my family to meet all the groups that Provision works with. But when you do camp, you're with the same, let's say 10 children every day, and you really build that tight bond. You become like really meaningful in their life. So I think we're going to try for June 2027 to do a camp week.
Okay.
And yes, they can come talk to any of us.
Yeah. Okay. It's good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
Hey, one final thing that I meant to ask earlier, and then I'll let you guys go. The percentage of people there, I know there's Eastern Orthodox and then there's like
Oh.
just Protestant,
Uh-huh.
evangelical.
Yeah.
But what percentage in from what you know, what percentage would you say know Jesus of the population in Romania?
So it's funny because even Andrew is like a facts person. He looked it up, but I think it was like 90 something percent is Romanian Orthodox, and then the rest is Catholic. And I would say that probably none of them have a relationship with Jesus. It's not a religion that focuses on relationship with Jesus at all. It's very ritualistic. You stop, you do this. So I think it was a very, very tiny percent that would consider like born again Christians. Tiny percent.
Gotcha.
I mean, they all believe in God. They all talk about God. It's a very religious country. And they believe in God, and they would say they believe in Jesus. I mean, the whole country celebrated Easter. But I think that that relationship part is what's missing. It's very ritualistic there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Christina's grandfather was an underground Baptist preacher during communist days.
Wow.
So her heritage is, born again Christianity.
Well, I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you for staying on. I know you were holding your phone, and I know there's a pain.
We did it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Guys, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Bye.